This is Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
Good morning to you. It is 6:01 on this Friday, January 5th. Ray Collins is on vacation. He had to go investigate all the trivia that we were doing yesterday. He wanted to go relive
verify
all
those facts.
Verify those facts,
Absolutely
yes.
right.
Good morning, John Scalzi.
Good morning to you.
A little chilly
Looking
out there
for the
today.
weekend, I guess?
I am. I'm so thankful that it's Friday. It's going to be a good weekend. A little
It looks
warmer
that
this
way.
weekend, right?
A little warmer, absolutely right. In fact, a little warmer this morning than it was yesterday morning. And tonight, even whether or not we hit freezing in many locations is a little bit still in question. Some computer models suggest a colder night, some maybe a little bit less, thanks to some cloud cover possibly moving in. So we will wait and see how that plays out, but certainly right now, it's chilly out there, no doubt about it. We have temperatures widespread in the 30s. In inland areas, we're looking at temperatures in the upper 30s, right along the coastline. We're in the low 40s for the most part. Sarasota coming in at 38, Bradenton coming in at 38, but we do have some 35s around. As far as the satellite goes, well, it was a clearer night, and in fact, the sky is really crystal clear. A little bit of cloud cover moving in. That may save us from freezing temperatures tonight. We'll talk about that coming up in a few.
All right, let's take a look outside. Your first alert traffic is actually surprising congested already this morning. There are some hitches right there on State Road 70 going east and westbound, and a little bit of hitches as well on 301 going east and or south and north in those cases. And then in North Sarasota, it's looking pretty good out there. Your usual congestion already starting at University Parkway, and they've got a little bit of a backup out there on Siesta Key as well. And then if you're heading into South Sarasota County, it's looking pretty good. Just a little bit of congestion if you're heading down to Port Charlotte on southbound 41. And that is your first alert traffic at 5:02. Well, the big story this hour is if the heavy snow, the hurricane force winds weren't bad enough, this monster storm also sparked record flooding in the Northeast. Now, once the floodwaters hit the streets, they froze over almost immediately, turning parked cars mostly into popsicles. Here's ABC's Linda Lopez with more.
Overnight, high water blasting through a seawall south of Boston. Many calling it the most ferocious storm surge in decades.
I was shocked at how quickly the water rose.
Rescuers pulling more than a dozen people to safety after water surrounded their homes.
I am fine. The house completely flooded out. Propane tank flipped over. There was a small fire inside the house.
One woman saved from the second story of her house by a front-end loader. In Boston, the high tide flooding streets. A fire truck driving through deep water. A local subway station flooding. Water pouring down the stairs. And a dumpster floating down Boston's historic Fort Point neighborhood.
This is the biggest one since I was a kid in 1978.
In New York City, a Coast Guard cutter was needed to break up the ice in the Hudson River. Farther south, the storm blamed for at least 6 deaths, most from slick roads. The storm and bitter cold causing major disruptions at airports.
We had a flight back to New York and now it's canceled, so we're stuck here another day.
New York's JFK reopened this morning after suspending more than 3,000 flights. And this rare sight in Orlando, a plane getting de-iced. In South Florida, the cold crippling native green iguanas, literally, their limbs stiffening up from the chill, causing them to fall from trees. And in Maryland, these surfers making the best of it all, hanging 10 in the middle of a blizzard. Linda Lopez, ABC News, New York.
And as Florida does get hit with those unusually cold temperatures, even snow in some parts of the state, wildlife officials are keeping a close eye on vulnerable manatees and sea turtles. Now, when those temps drop, cold, stunned sea turtles like this guy right here, they slow down and they may float lifelessly in the water or near shore. Now, to you, they may appear dead or in distress, but they're often still alive, just slowing down. Mote Marine Laboratory and the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission are on high alert to help, and they ask for you to be vigilant about calling when you see a manatee or a sea turtle in need of help.
When the weather dips down like this, we kind of go on high alert. We expect to see cold stranded or cold stressed sea turtles, manatees primarily. We start getting concerned when waters dip down for manatees below 68 and for sea turtles below 50, but they can start showing signs prior to that. So we just kind of stay on high alert, waiting to see if they start getting affected.
And what could be the most bizarre video that I have seen so far this week? Check this out. They're in Palm Beach County. It's so cold, the iguanas are literally falling from the trees. You've probably seen some of this video all over social media yesterday. Now, the animals may look as if, look at this guy, look as if they're dead, but experts say they are likely just stunned by the cold weather. A reptile keeper at the Palm Beach County Zoo says the cold-blooded invasive species freeze when it gets below 45 degrees.
Just for a day or two, they will just get to where they are completely frozen in time. They're still able to breathe. They're still able to do bodily functions, just very slow.
Wow. Now, if temperatures do dip below 45 degrees for several or more days, they will likely die, often from pneumonia. Now, for the latest on this video, plus local breaking news and your up-to-the-minute forecast as well, you can download the updated version of our app. Just head over to the iPhone store. You can look for WWSB or My Suncoast. If you've got an Android, you're going to get an update on our app automatically, and you can search for the same thing. Well, developing overnight, now to the reality TV-style relationship falling apart in front of President Trump's growing feud with former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon. Now, overnight, the president once again tweeted out about Bannon and the book that he's quoted in, talking about the president's family. ABC's Stephanie Ramos is covering it all for us from Washington.
President Trump and his old friend, former White House chief strategist Steve Bannon, are not in a good place right now.
It's not like there were regularly scheduled calls or, and certainly no meetings between the two of them.
The White House furious after excerpts of that new White House book, Fire and Fury, were released. The book, by author Michael Wolff, quotes Bannon criticizing the president and his family. In it, he calls Donald Trump Jr. and Jared Kushner treasonous and unpatriotic for meeting in Trump Tower with a Russian lawyer they thought had dirt on Hillary Clinton. The president and his lawyers tried to stop the book release by threatening legal action against Bannon, but instead, the publisher is speeding up the release to today. President Trump tweeting overnight, "I never spoke to him for book, full of lies, misrepresentations, and sources that don't exist. Look at this guy's past and watch what happens to him and sloppy Steve." Bannon hasn't denied making those comments about the president and his family. Former White House press secretary Sean Spicer on Headline News last night says that's a problem.
The first thing that you do when you're attacked with a falsehood is not only deny it, but go out and really make the case for it. I haven't heard any of that.
But on Sirius XM's Breitbart News Radio yesterday, Bannon did have this to say about the president.
Nothing will ever come between us and President Trump and his agenda. Don't worry about that.
But that may be too little too late.
He called me a great man last night, so, he obviously changed his tune pretty quick.
Steve Bannon's future at Breitbart News, the right-wing media outlet, is in question. The board is considering whether to force out Bannon as chairman, but no decision has been made. Stephanie Ramos, ABC News, Washington.
And new this morning, North Korea has agreed to hold official talks next Tuesday, January 9th. That's according to the South Korean Unification Ministry. Now, the meeting will be the first high-level contact between the two countries since 2015. Within the past few days, North Korea reactivated a dormant hotline with South Korea and has used it several times now to communicate. And the U.S. and South Korea will not be holding any joint military drills during the next month's Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. The decision was made during a phone call between President Trump and South Korean leader Moon on Thursday. South Korea says Trump plans to send high-level representatives to the Winter Games, adding that the delegation would include members of Trump's family. Now, meanwhile, back here in the U.S., President Trump is planning a massive expansion of offshore drilling. Interior Secretary Ryan Zinke announced today the administration wants to roll back a ban on new offshore drilling off the coasts of both California and Florida. Now, Zinke says the move would increase federal revenue by $15 billion. He also said it would free the U.S. from being forced to buy energy from foreign enemies. Environmental groups are calling the plan, quote, dirty, dangerous, and backward-looking. Lawmakers from several states are also pushing back. And you might have missed President Trump tweeting an announcement earlier this week about his fake news awards. Well, he is going to be handing those out this coming Monday. In response, talk show host Stephen Colbert tweeted out a bid to win one of those awards. Colbert announced his candidacy in all the categories, including the Eric Trump Memorial Award for Disappointment and also the category for the smallest button. Colbert tweeted, quote, "See you on the red carpet, Anderson Cooper." Happening in Florida, a man has pled guilty to posing as a doctor when he was just a teen, stealing thousands of dollars from victims, including an elderly patient. 20-year-old Malachi Love Robinson was sentenced to 3.5 years in prison yesterday. Police say he stole more than $20,000 from an 86-year-old woman during a series of visits to her home. Now, Love Robinson was arrested in 2016 after conducting an exam on a female undercover officer who went to his office complaining of feeling sick. Now, Love Robinson must also repay each of his victims when he gets out of prison. Also, a human trafficking task force operating in the Sunshine State could turn into a national model due to its focus on more than just prosecution. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein says it's equally important to focus on victims and to help them recover and encourage them to testify if necessary. He also says the Justice Department prosecuted 553 human trafficking cases across the country in 2017. Now, that task force is made up of several federal agencies, the Miami-Dade Police Department, and non-governmental groups that help out with the victims. In consumer news, FPL says they will hold off on billing customers for the cost of restoring electricity after Hurricane Irma. Now, this comes after previously saying they were expecting to collect more than $1 billion from their customers. The Sarasota Herald Tribune reports the company is not moving forward with those plans yet because they're still studying the implications of the federal tax bill signed into law just last month. Now, for now, people won't see costs related to Irma on their bills until at least after this March. Just pretty good sign, right? It's going to up a date about like $4 or $5 a month.
Oh, it's coming, though.
Yes, it's coming.
Don't worry about that.
It is coming. It is going to happen.
We're looking at a little bit warmer outside. I mean, we'll take what we can get, right?
That's right. That's right. We'll take like 2 degrees in this case.
Yeah, whatever we can find. It'll be happy change. As we head into the weekend, though, some significantly warmer weather. I'm waiting for that. I like that.
Yes, well, this is me feeling good out there.
I know.
Liking that. Look at that. Well, we're going to have John's full forecast coming up next. We're going to have the latest in your first alert traffic, and I'm heading to the frozen tundra outside our station. Not so much. We're going to show you step by step, though, just how to cover your plants and keep them safe during these cold temps. And then coming up a little later in the hour, we're going to tell you about how the severe weather across the country is affecting local air traffic here at SRQ. We've got that all for you when we come back.
That is a pretty good breakfast. You're not even eating.
Not hungry.
No? Why not? What's up?
Kath and I knew that Jenny had been partying a bit. Found out she tried heroin.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
Rose takes her volunteering for Tidewell Hospice very seriously. But she knows how to have fun, too. And that's what she brings when we're invited to visit patients as part of Tidewell's pet therapy program. People love to see her. She really brightens their day. She makes people smile. And in end-of-life care, a smile can be a wonderful gift. Tidewell Hospice. It's more than you think.
The thought of my sons growing up without me inspired me to quit smoking.
I talked to my doctors, and then I threw away all my cigarettes, ashtrays, and lighters.
I started exercising instead of smoking.
Letting my friends online know I was quitting kept me on track.
Staying away from alcohol when I was first quitting was key.
I kept on trying, learned something each time.
Do whatever it takes.
No matter how many times it takes.
We did it. You can too.
For free help, visit cdc.gov/tips.
Invest in Kids is a $7.5 million project to build a new Boys and Girls Club in South Manatee County. I'm Caleb Grimes, and I was a club kid. It's where I learned important life lessons, leadership, integrity, responsibility, and baseball. Thousands of kids attend the Boys and Girls Clubs, and after years of use, their club is slowly falling apart. Help us invest in kids. Make your donation today.
Thank you.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
Now your ABC 7 First Alert weather forecast with meteorologist John Scalzi.
A 38-degree air temperature outside, about 3 degrees warmer than it was 24 hours ago. I think even tomorrow night we might even be a little warmer still. Now, the dew point is still low at 30, so we have a couple of degrees left to fall before we start to warm with dawn and a little bit of sunshine starting to warm things up. Northeast wind coming in at about 8. Fairly clear skies tonight. There's a nice, mostly clear sky because high pressure building in and wind shifting a little bit more to the north. We have 35 degrees in Orlando, 38 in Tampa, 42 Fort Myers. Temperatures to the north, slightly warmer as well. Panama City coming in at 24, 28 degrees in Tallahassee. Again, we're going to see these temperatures drop another couple of degrees before we start to warm things up. Across our region, 35 degrees in Wauchula, Arcadia, 35. 34 degrees in Mayaca. Everybody above the freezing mark at this point. 36 degrees in Northport, 38 in Punta Gorda, 45 in Boca Grande, 37 in Venice, 39 in Venice, 37 in Bradenton. No rain falling anywhere. All the precip located well out into Gulf waters. There's a little patch of high-level clouds out in the Gulf that will be advancing in our direction. That may help us keep us a little bit warmer tonight as well. As far as precip along the eastern seaboard, well, that low-pressure area that brought the heavy snowfalls to the eastern coastline is gone now, so a little bit of a chance for those airports to kind of ramp back up and get back into business today. Across our region, across the Deep South, across the Midwest, everything is very quiet under the influence of this big dome of Arctic high pressure, bringing really chilly temperatures to a lot of the country. For us, that high-pressure ridge is going to help provide us with a northerly wind flow for today and for tonight as well, or at least a northeasterly wind flow. But then eventually, we'll see that wind flow over the weekend turn more and more easterly, eventually even southeasterly, and that will help boost our temperatures back up into the 60s as we head into the weekend, and eventually even the 70s as we head into next week. So one more cool night coming our way. That'll be tonight, and temperatures tonight might actually be even a little bit warmer than they are, this morning, and certainly than they were yesterday morning. So that's good news. One more cold night, warming this weekend, and then we'll also have to figure in a chance of some rain showers next week as we have another approaching front, but that front won't pack anything like the wallop that this front did. So good news there. We'll watch the winds shifting out of the east and eventually southeast, bring in a little bit more humidity as well. And that'll be helpful for those folks who are suffering from dry skin or maybe a little bit of sinus issues because of the heated air inside your home. We'll watch that high-pressure ridge also bring rain-free skies to the Atlanta airport, the Raleigh-Durham airport, Charlotte airport. Those airport hubs are going to look good. Northeast wind coming in at about 15 to start the morning and afternoon off, and then kind of subsiding a little bit as we head into the evening. Moderate chop expected. And the forecast calls for one more cool night tonight in the 30s, and then we start to warm tomorrow. And over the next several days, we warm further, but Monday we'll have that chance of rainfall before we see the temperatures solidly return into the 70s next work week. Let's jump out to Stephanie and see what she's got going on outside the studios. Hope you're dressed warm.
All right, we're going to take a quick look at your first alert traffic. If you're heading into Manatee County, you're going to start to experience some slowdowns coming in from Palmetto and Ellenton area, just heading over the bridges, starting to pick up a little bit. Now, if you're heading into North Sarasota, you're going to have some of those typical slowdowns that we've got in the morning University Parkway. And then if you're heading into South County, maybe heading down to Port Charlotte this morning, a little bit of congestion on 41 north and southbound. Other than that, not too bad out there this morning. All right, now we have come all the way outside into the frozen tundra. Okay, really, we're just outside our station, but we have been talking all week, especially John Scalzi, about the freezing temperatures, and he's mentioned some warnings to make sure you bring your potted plants in and to take care of some of your flowers that might be outside. But we wanted to know the right way to take care of your flowers and your potted plants, so we have gone to the experts. Joining me right now is Dion Roberts, and he is from Beneva Flowers and Plantscapes, and he has some expert advice. So I think we should probably start with, what are the temps that you should start thinking about covering up your flowers and plants?
Well, a good idea to start, the temperatures to start covering your plants are when they start to drop into the mid-40s. If you wait until it gets into the 30s, it's a little too late. Most of the damage will start to occur 45 going down to 40. Once you get into the 30s, it's starting to freeze the plant already.
And what types of plants and shrubs outside should you be thinking about covering up?
Well, definitely anything that's a flowering plant. If it's in a pot, please definitely bring it inside, or at least bring it into an enclosed area where the wind cannot reach it. Shrubs, anything lying around the house, you would want to try and cover in your immediate landscape area. Larger palm trees are a little bit more sturdy. They're able to take the cold better, but the smaller shrubs usually have a tendency of freezing closer to the ground.
Now let's talk about the proper technique, because you have to do this right as well in terms of covering up your plants. Like, what is the best way and what should you be using? I've heard there's some like pros and against plastic and pros and against everything.
Yes. There's actually a couple of things that you can use that are usually just laying around your house. Old bed sheets work great. Thinner ones are a little bit better than the heavy coarse ones, because a lot of times if it's too heavy it weighs down on the plant and can damage it. Another good one is called a freeze cloth. You can get those at Home Depot, Lowe's, hardware stores around town. One of the things that you do not want to use is this right here. This is a plastic visqueen. This actually conducts cold. So if you wrap it onto the plant, what ends up happening is it actually transfers the cold straight into the plant, and it will kill them much faster. So with a cloth material, it actually protects them. You want to try and get it as close to the roots as possible. You know, if you can just drape it all the way over, if you have a large seat, that works great. You can use a canvas tarp, but that can also be too heavy, so just be careful when using that.
Okay. Now, if you're talking about if you've still got some plants or some shrubbery, things outside that still need to be watered, when is the best time of the day right now to be watering those?
I'd say midday. You know, once the sun is up, you can do it, you know, between the hours of, say, 10 and 2. That would be a good time. It gives enough time for the sun to still be up and to evaporate the water that's in the ground. If you water them at night, you know, and you let it go through the morning, you run the risk of freezing them.
Okay. Now, the all-important question, when you think that things have already gone horribly wrong, you may have accidentally let some of your plants get frozen, they're not looking too good, can you bring them back to life?
9 times out of 10, they are still alive. They've just gone into hibernation, so they've pulled back into the main core of their roots itself. You want to wait more until spring, like many people do up north. You want to wait till spring and see where the leaves come back. Once you see where the leaves come back, then just prune it back there.
All right, so you can bring them back to life like the frozen iguanas that we've been seeing all morning throughout the video. Yeah. All right, I like that very much. Okay, thank you so much for spending some time with us. We've got more tips that are going to be coming up ahead for you in next hour as well. We're going to put all these tips online for you as well. Thanks for helping us keep our plants and our flowers a little safer in this frozen season. All right, coming up next, we've got some more for you in our Tech Bites. Could Amazon's Alexa cook your dinner? True story. We're going to tell you how the popular Amazon product will soon be able to control ovens and microwaves. And then coming up at 5:30, we're going to take a closer look at the local shelters working to keep the homeless warm during these cold temperatures. Stick around. We've got those stories and more for you when we come back.
There's nothing like this trail in Alabama. It just goes from the northern part of the state to the southern part of the state. We see all kind of different terrains, great value, great fun. We've been coming for 18 years. We started off with a group of 8, grew to 12, and grew to 16. And we love it because where else can you get world-class golf courses with world-class accommodations? To be able to play these type of courses in this environment, and the difficulty keeps us coming back over and over and over again.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 70.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Yeah, I have questions.
Prescription drugs aren't as bad as street drugs, right?
Weed's legal, isn't it?
Drinking is worse than smoking weed. Isn't it? Why
is heroin so addictive?
Molly just makes you feel happy.
I have questions.
Mom?
Dad, did you ever try drugs?
They're going to ask. Be ready. Go to drugfree.org. A message from Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
I love taking care of my mom. It wasn't easy at first. She learned how to better communicate her needs.
And you learned how to not ignore yours.
I discovered how to make healthier meals.
And I discovered how much I enjoyed them.
Becoming a caregiver is a learning experience for everyone. Find articles, tips, and tools from experts and others who have been in your place. The Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to Good Morning Suncoast. We're taking a look at the sleepy city of Boston. So cold. Part of all that cold weather that's been hitting, all those storms with the hurricane force winds hitting the northeast all this week. All right, just a reminder, do you have a great story idea for us? Maybe your own photos of how you're staying warm this morning and this week. Pictures of those frozen iguanas outside your home. We would love to see those. We would love to get your feedback for you on Facebook, Twitter, or you can also check out our new Instagram page. It takes you behind the scenes here at ABC 7. And also touch base with Ray, myself, or John Scalzi. We'd love to hear from you on our Facebook pages. All right, welcome back. Apple has kicked off 2018 with record-breaking sales in its App Store. ABC's Candace Gibson and Linda Lopez have the details in this morning's Tech Bites.
Hey, today's Tech Bites, our massive appetite for apps. Apple says customers spent close to $1 billion on apps or purchases within them between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
On New Year's Day alone, they spent $300 million in the App Store. That's a new record.
Alexa will soon offer extra help around the kitchen after acquiring some new cooking skills.
If you own an Amazon Echo, you'll be able to control your microwave with your voice, but you must have a smart microwave integrated with the new Alexa support. Amazon plans to add other appliances later. And if you're looking for love, try a dating app this weekend. Apps like Tinder, Bumble, Match say there's always a surge the Sunday after New Year's Day.
And if you want to be successful, they say you need a solid profile with photos that show you smiling with no kids or pets.
Way to be honest.
Yeah, good luck dating. Those are your Tech Bites.
Have a great day.
Tech Bites, brought to you by Subway.
You have goals. Subway has a fresh fit menu. With 2 servings of veggies and 24 grams of whole grains, Subway has 8 6-inch subs with 400 calories or less, like the rotisserie-style chicken or oven-roasted turkey breast. Choose from 8 great options that are better for you and delicious. Go you! Try the fresh fit menu, only at Subway.
Somehow, we always leave packing to the last minute.
Guys, I have a couple of things to wash.
We got this. Even on Quick Cycle, Tide Pods cleans great.
6 times the cleaning power, even in the Quick Cycle. It's gotta be Tide.
Nutro. Non-GMO ingredients, no artificial flavors. All the energy dogs need and nothing they don't. Nutro. Feed clean.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
My name is Haley. I have Fragile X syndrome. I work with Chartwells at Einstein's and FAU. I like being up front and interacting with students. The students are very nice and very hungry. Having a job is a big ticket for independence.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to disabilitieswork.employflorida.com.
Everything all right?
Actually, you know how Tom had knee surgery? Sure. We found out Brad's been taking his painkillers. And it turns out he's been doing it for a while.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
A promise was made, a promise that hit the beaches of Normandy, a vow that captured Iwo Jima, a contract that weathered Tet, a pledge that stormed the desert in Iraq, an IOU that braved IEDs in Kandahar. A promise was made to America's veterans. DAV fights to keep that promise, so all veterans and their families get the benefits and support they earned. For help, visit DAV.org.
There was this big bruise on my friend's face. I didn't want to see it. I didn't want to think her own nephew could have hit her.
I didn't want to see it. My mother's bank account was emptied, and a caregiver had taken control of it.
I didn't want to see it. My father's refrigerator, there was hardly anything in it. That's unusual for him.
It's tough to see that a senior citizen is being abused, physically, emotionally, sexually, or financially. Elder abuse is a crime.
So see the signs, stop the crimes.
Ever since I can remember, I've been intrigued by industrial design and the optimization.
Wait, that's passion? Ever since I can remember, my passion has been industrial design. We need 3D printers for Miss Adams' engineering program so that we are ready to solve 21st century challenges.
Impressive. Think It Up is a new initiative to support student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classroom today? Think It Up.
Check out My Suncoast Dining on mysuncoast.com for Chef Judy's favorite recipes, restaurant guide, and more. Go to mysuncoast.com/dining.
Good morning, Suncoast. Coming up today, helping the homeless during these freezing temps. We're going to tell you more about local shelters working hard to keep people warm out there. Plus, the bomb cyclone hitting the northern part of the country has created a travel mess. Thousands of flights have been canceled, even some here at SRQ. We're going to tell you what products are being blamed for a possible E. coli outbreak and what you need to know to stay safe. We've got those stories for you and more coming up right now on Good Morning Suncoast.
Live from the ABC 7 studios, this is Good Morning Suncoast. We're here for you.
Good morning, it's 5:32. I'm Stephanie Webb. It is Friday, January 5th. Ray is on vacation. John Scalzi and I are holding down the fort here this morning.
I feel like the weather world has hired a team of writers, and we're starting to get some very colorful language. We've got Frankenstorms and bomb cyclones and polar vortexes and all kinds of cool things. It seems
like every year there's one big term that like kind of takes off.
Yes.
It's like, you know, for so many years it was like polar vortex.
Yes.
For like 2 years in a row. Like that meant, you know, really cool things.
Right, which had actually been around for, you know, about 50 years. But
and then the bomb one that we're hearing now, you
Yes.
said that's another one that's been around for a long time.
A bomb is a term that is I used back in the dinosaur days when I went to college. Yeah.
All right, I like
Yeah, so
this.
it's just it's kind of neat though to see it out there and in public awareness.
And
you
people
know,
are really interested
fun.
in the weather. They love to learn these
Sure.
new things and how it happens and why it happens. And
Sure. They just don't like it when it's 30 degrees
yeah, they don't like
outside.
feeling the effects
No.
of it. That's what it is.
I don't either. It's just too cold. It'll get warmer over the weekend, though. That's the good news. Taking a look outside right now, temperatures are generally about 3 degrees warmer than they were 24 hours ago. That's good news, right? 38 degrees in Sarasota, 38 in Bradenton. Temperatures along the immediate coast are still in the 40s and will probably stay there. Inland temperatures even a little bit warmer, coming in the upper 30s. So we like all that. Temperatures will probably fall another degree or two, though, before dawn breaks. Complete forecast for the weekend coming up in just a few. Back to you, Steph.
All right, thank you, John. Here's a look outside. If you're heading out onto the roads at this hour, things are running pretty smoothly, but we are starting to see a little bit of congestion here and there. If you're heading north and southbound on 301, you're going to run into a little bit of congestion there as well. University Parkway, that's going to be a little congested this morning, as is Bee Ridge Road, and a little bit of State Road 72. Now, if you're heading into South County, maybe heading down to Port Charlotte, it's pretty smooth going this morning. Just a little bit of a traffic congestion there going southbound as well. It is 5:32, and that is your first alert traffic. And topping our news this half hour, cold days and nights this week have been tough for local homeless people living out on the streets. Cold weather shelters on the Suncoast remain open to help get people off the street and into a warmer place. Our Rick Adams has more.
Well, it does remain brutally cold out here. Many folks are taking advantage of the cold weather shelter back there at the Salvation Army, but there are some who are braving the elements and staying outside. For Ricky Ann Wilker and her fiance Sean Kalanke, the cold weather shelter at the Salvation Army in Sarasota has been a godsend. If it wasn't for the shelter, they would be out in the cold.
The gratitude that I have is overwhelming. I don't know where I would be right now if I didn't have the Salvation Army the last couple days.
The food and the warmth, and just, it's not always comfortable, but it's always here.
Some of the homeless have decided to stay out on the street and in the cold. Roseanne tells us the cold weather shelters are too loud and uncomfortable for her. So she says she's happy staying outside despite these frigid temperatures.
We just hunker down. We got sleeping bags and blankets. Look at
people could keep giving us food, so we're never hungry.
The people who do utilize the shelter not only have a warm place to stay with bedding, but they also receive free hot meals. There is no cost during these cold weather nights, and it has brought in hundreds of folks each night.
For anybody in the community that, you know, there is an issue with the cold weather and might not have a place to go, our doors are open for anyone.
Several places in Sarasota and Manatee County continue to offer free shelters to get in from the cold. They are listed right there on your screen. And we're being told the cold weather shelters will be open again on Friday night, including this one here at the Salvation Army. Reporting from Sarasota, I'm Rick Adams, ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
All right, thanks, Rick. Now, for more information on the latest breaking news, local news, your up-to-the-minute first alert forecast, just head over to the App Store. You can download our app. You can also find it under www.sb or My Suncoast. Developing overnight, the cleanup is on after an apartment building caught on fire in Bradenton. Officials say the fire started at Sun Chase Apartments off 59th Street West around 6:30 last night. They were able to knock the fire down by about 6:45. Now, there were 8 apartments in this building, and the fire heavily damaged 4 of them. The other 4 suffered smoke damage. Now, 10 fire trucks and over 24 firefighters responded to the scene. The Red Cross was also on the scene to assist. Officials say there were no injuries, but 4 pets didn't make it out. Now, the City of Bradenton Fire Marshals is now investigating the cause of that fire. And Charlotte County Sheriff's deputies have made an arrest in a deadly Englewood home invasion last summer. Investigators have been looking for Edwin Randall since last August. That's when deputies say 2 armed men entered a home on 11th Street, demanding cell phones and trying to remove a safe from a bedroom. There was a fight, and one of the intruders was shot and killed. Investigators say Randall took off and escaped capture until now. And an update now on an armed bank robbery in Bradenton. 18-year-old Julian Jimenez of Bradenton allegedly entered the Florida Central Credit Union on 9th Street West armed with a handgun Thursday afternoon. Police say Jimenez fired 2 rounds into the ceiling and then made a statement about it being a bank robbery. He jumped the counter, stole money, and fled the scene in a dark-colored Nissan Altima. About 30 minutes later, the Manatee County Sheriff's Office received a call reporting a suspicious person acting erratic on 33rd Avenue Drive East. Now, deputies found Jimenez, who had a handgun and a large amount of cash. He was later booked and charged with that armed robbery. 2 teenagers are now charged with felonies after police say they stole a vehicle and almost hit Sarasota police officers. Now, the police spotted the stolen vehicle out of Northport along Benjamin Franklin Drive on Lido Key. Officers tried to stop it, but say the driver instead drove north in the southbound lanes of Boulevard of the Presidents. Now, as officers repositioned themselves, they say the car came directly toward them, missing them by just a few feet. The 16-year-old driver and 13-year-old passenger were eventually stopped and arrested. And a Sarasota park is closing for the next few weeks to be redesigned with an open park setting. Fred Atkins Park will be closed through Friday, January the 19th. Now, those updates will include new seating, changes to the landscape and irrigation systems, as well as sod. The project is part of the city's goal to revamp the Newtown community. Now, the park will reopen to the public on January the 20th. And it was a busy 2017 for home sales in the West Villages. Developers reported 991 home sales. That is more than they've had in many years. They credit the boost in sales to increased knowledge of the West Villages area and the Atlanta Braves spring training stadium that is being built right now. Over the next decade, the West Villages area is expected to change as a new shopping center is built, complete with a brand new downtown. In consumer news, severe winter weather across the country is also impacting travelers right here on the Suncoast. Now we're going to talk about why even the flights out of the Sarasota-Bradenton International Airport are getting canceled due to the weather.
A number of flights are canceled here at SRQ, and the reason is the harsh winter weather in the Northeast. Flights from airlines like Elite, First United, and JetBlue are canceled. Many of those flights are going into cities like New York, Newark, Boston, and Portland. The airport's president and CEO, Rick Piccolo, says harsh weather conditions across the country are impacting flights departing and arriving into SRQ, meaning a number of travelers on the Suncoast will be impacted.
I think when you look at the number of flights that will be canceled, it'll be a few thousand people that will be impacted, both from the incoming as well as those that were looking to go back home.
Travelers aren't the only ones feeling the negative effects of flight cancellations. So are Uber and Lyft drivers. One on call says flights have been canceling left and right, and that means less money in his pockets.
Now, normally there's 15 to maybe 20 flights into here every day. Now, during the holiday, they up that amount of flights into here to over 20, and this is the first time that I've been here that we've seen these many cancellations.
A number of flights at Tampa International Airport are also canceled, meaning more people across Southwest Florida are missing flights. Now, Piccolo tells us after the harsh weather subsides across the country, he says flights here at SRQ could still be impacted for a few more weeks. I'm Marla Spence reporting for ABC 7, your Suncoast News.
In other consumer news, retail giant Macy's will be cutting 5,000 jobs and close 7 more stores here in Florida as well as 5 other states. Now, those moves are part of a plan announced in August 2016 to close 100 stores. Altogether, Macy's has now revealed 81 of those 100 locations. They're one of many traditional retail chains that are struggling for stability amid stiff competition from online retailers. Now, Macy's will likely start liquidation sales on January the 8th. And it is also closing time for another 39 Sears locations and 64 Kmart stores. Sears Holdings, which owns both Sears and Kmart, made the announcement yesterday, expanding months of similar closings aimed at getting the company on solid financial footing. Closeout sales at the affected locations will begin next week, with all 103 locations officially shutting their doors for good by May. Sears Holdings says eligible associates will receive severance pay and have the chance to apply for open positions at remaining Kmart or Sears locations. And an E. coli outbreak is now being linked to leafy greens and romaine lettuce. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention said that E. coli made 17 people across 13 states sick in late November and early December. One person even died. A similar strain caused an outbreak in Canada in early November through early December. 41 people getting sick there. The CDC says the source of the infection is still unknown and it's still investigating that outbreak. All right, speaking, there's an outbreak of cold outside.
There is indeed. Yes, and it's going to be with us again tonight.
Yes, it is.
It's going to be another chilly night. But then a warming trend starts, and we're back to about average temperatures by the time we hit midweek next week, or even earlier. So good news there.
I like that. What is typically our average for this time of the year? Like mid-70s?
72.
Oh, I
Yep.
love that. Yes.
Yep.
All right, sounds
Talk about it in
good.
a sec.
We'll have that, plus the latest in First Alert traffic. And it is time to clean out your refrigerator. We're going to tell you more about the health benefits of keeping your fridge clean. That is up next in Health Smart.
Today, everyone is looking for more fashionable choices in flooring than ever before. And G. Fried has responded with a huge selection of carpets, tile, wood, laminate, and vinyl. Installed by a highly skilled team, G. Fried has got everything you're looking for and more. The next time you think about quality flooring, think G. Fried Flooring America. G. Fried Flooring America. Our world is at your feet.
At Tidewell Hospice, we know it's never too late to say thank you to our military veterans. The Tidewell Honors Veterans Program has provided care to more than 13,000 military families since 2008. Tidewell volunteers help honor veterans through special pinning ceremonies that demonstrate our appreciation for the freedom our veterans fought to defend. If you know a veteran who can benefit from end-of-life care, call or visit tidewell.org today. Tidewell Hospice. It's more than you think.
My name is Julius. I have cerebral palsy. I work for Farmer Jeffy Weising Law Firm. I do a lot of data entry and scanning documents. I want to increase my working experience to make the company much better. At the end of the day, it's good to think of the day's work and to think about what I have accomplished.
Hi, this is Dan Marino. When your business recruits people with disabilities, everybody wins. To find out how, go to abilitieswork.employflorida.com.
I took my first handful of pills, and that's when all my priorities seemed to change.
He would ask to use the bathroom in other people's homes.
He just assumed that they would have medication.
He'd go in their medicine cabinets and steal prescription drugs.
I wish I knew really what these prescription pills were.
We were so naive about the whole drug thing.
These are all synthetic forms of heroin.
Keep your medication locked up because you'll never notice that a pill is gone.
Mind your meds. Learn more from the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids.
Thank you. You got a king?
Go fish!
It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
When it comes to drinking, what do you think moderation is? The U.S. Dietary Guidelines define moderation as up to 1 drink a day for women and up to 2 drinks a day for men. So what's a drink? The guidelines say a drink equals 12 ounces of beer, 5 ounces of wine, or a cocktail with 1.5 ounces of distilled spirits. Each contains the same amount of alcohol. Like to learn more? Visit drinkinmoderation.org.
My name is Luke Perry, and I am 1 million strong. I'm in the fight against colorectal cancer because I believe we can win it. Colon and rectal cancers are the second leading cause of cancer deaths among men and women in the U.S. Colon cancer is preventable. Know the risk factors and make sure to get screened. There are simple, take-home options available. Take control of your health. Screening for colon cancer isn't embarrassing. It can be life-saving. To find out more about your options, visit fightcrc.org.
Now your ABC 7 First Alert weather forecast with meteorologist John Scalzi.
Temperatures running around 3 degrees warmer than 24 hours ago. Dew point values also a little higher, so that'll make it feel a bit more comfortable inside your heated home, but just a bit because that's still pretty dry air at 30 dew point. 38-degree air temperature and a northeast wind coming in at about 8. We'll probably see that northeast wind shift even more easterly as we head into the next 24 hours, and that'll help to keep our temperatures a little warmer as we head into the weekend, I think. But tonight will probably be another cold night with many places in the 30s. The big question mark is whether or not we'll need a freeze warning for tonight or a freeze watch. It's still a little up in the air, and so far one has not been issued for our area. It's quite likely that we'll get at least a freeze watch for areas east of the interstate, though. So certainly if you have covered your plants, don't take those plant covers down yet for tonight, because it's still going to be another cool night. Temperatures to the north of us are in the 20s, and some of that colder air to the north is still being drawn down by that northerly wind. So it's reinforcing that cooler, drier air that's already in place. 35 Mayaca City, 35 Wauchula, 36 degrees in Arcadia, 37 in Northport, 39 in Venice, 37 in Bradenton, 36 in Parrish. You know, if you take off a couple of degrees from these temperatures, that will probably end up being our nighttime low. Not much colder than that, though. So we are looking at a slightly warmer night tonight, or this morning, than we saw 24 hours ago. Still, Becky in Old Mayaca coming in with a 29-degree temperature, but she had a much cooler temperature yesterday. Across the state, no rain falling right now. No showers, no drizzle. Everything looks pretty good in terms of precip. In fact, the eastern seaboard looks pretty good. Did have some pretty impressive snowfall amounts, though, with the storm system that moved on past. It is maybe going to produce a little bit of lake effect snow and perhaps a little bit of snow showers in the high elevations of Maine. But it did produce nearly 2 feet of snow in some locations, and certainly over a foot of snow in many locations from about Washington, D.C. on up through Maine. So the closer to the coast, the heavier the snow fell. Most of the country is pretty quiet right now, and a lot of the airports coming back to business. We do have Pacific Northwest seeing a little bit of a rain shower moving on shore there, but the eastern seaboard looks pretty good, and certainly all of our airport hubs will not have a big weather issue today, except for the cold. It will be very cold out there. One more cold night before we start our warming trend this weekend, and that will really get underway next week, despite the fact that we'll have a couple of fronts moving through that bring us a rain chance Monday and Tuesday. Still looking at some fairly warm weather, as none of those fronts will be as potent as the one that moved through this week. Quiet conditions on our future cast, and locally maybe we'll see a little bit of this cloud cover kind of moving through, keeping us a bit warmer. Otherwise, most of the country looks pretty good. Perhaps some rain showers back toward Kansas City, Omaha, and Wichita by Sunday. But other than that, no large-scale potent weather systems. North wind or northeast coming in at about 15, bringing a moderate chop. And the forecast for the week ahead looks pretty good, actually. This is the way it's shaping up for us. For today, we'll have a daytime high that tops out in the near 60-degree range, at least mid-50s to upper 50s. By the time we get to Saturday, we'll hit 60. Nighttime lows tonight will be cold again in the 30s in many locations. We'll see if it actually hits the freezing mark in inland areas, but prepare for that. And then tomorrow night, it'll be even warmer, coming in the 40s. Over the course of the weekend, we start to warm. Monday and Tuesday, that front approaches, bringing us slight chances of rainfall on Monday and Tuesday as we warm back up into the 70s and stay there into next work week. Back to you.
All right, thanks, John. Let's take a look at the first alert traffic. It is 5:50 this morning. If you're heading out and about, there is a little bit of congestion out there, north and southbound on 301 and State Road 70 as well. If you're heading into North Sarasota, you've got a little bit of backup that's showing out there on 41. And if you're looking into South Sarasota County, again, just a little bit of backup heading north and southbound on 41. It's your first alert traffic. In this hour's Health Smart, out with the old, in with the new. Smells, that is. The new year is a great time to clean out your refrigerator and your freezer. James Dinan explains why in today's Health Minute.
The new year is a great time for new beginnings. And while you consider giving yourself a new makeover, think about giving one to your refrigerator and freezer too. Check all of the use-by and expiration dates on dairy products and eggs. It may be time to let go of that old block of cheese and chip or veggie dip too. Some condiments can even become contaminated with bacteria. Even if the product says they're good for up to 6 months in the fridge, consider everyone in the home using them and how many times they've had their hands in the fridge when sick. The same goes for the freezer. That pint of ice cream you've been meaning to get to can go bad after a while. And don't forget cleaning products. Yes, that multi-surface cleaner may get the job done, but do you really want your food even close to chemicals? Try using vinegar for a cleaning solution to avoid any chemical contamination. For today's Health Minute, I'm James Dinan.
All right, still ahead, we've got a quick look at your top morning headlines and getting fancy for the playoffs. We're going to show you the unique twist on game day snacks. The Jaguars are planning for their game this weekend when we come back.
I owed the IRS $10,000.
I owed the IRS $20,000.
The IRS garnished my wages.
They put a lien on my house.
The IRS is the most powerful collection agency in the world. They do not give up until you pay.
I couldn't sleep. We were being audited. I called Tax Solutions Now, and a great big weight was lifted off my shoulders.
I called Tax Solutions Now, and they got the IRS off my back.
Tax Solutions Now had my wage garnishment lifted in 48 hours.
Tax Solutions Now can get you help. Our agents know the rules, can stop the pain, and get you the best deal.
We saved our home and overcame the most powerful collection agency in the world.
We connect you with a team of former IRS agents and tax professionals who get the IRS off your back. Time is running out. Call Tax Solutions Now.
Call 1-800-565-7740. That's 1-800-565-7740.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard live up to a set of time-honored principles.
I will always place the mission first.
They stand ready to respond to any crisis.
I will never accept defeat.
They serve in their communities as citizens and as soldiers.
I will never quit.
They train part-time to be ready to serve at all times.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Learn more at NationalGuard.com.
Hi, I'm Janelle Hale, founder and CEO of the National Breast Cancer Foundation. No one should face breast cancer alone. When I was diagnosed 36 years ago, there was no internet, and I had to make a decision with little information. Early detection saved my life. It could save yours too. To learn what every woman needs to know about breast cancer, visit nbcf.org/hope.
Who else has been taking your prescriptions? Keep your medicine and your family safe and secure. Mind your meds. To learn how we can help, visit the Partnership for Drug-Free Kids at drugfree.org.
I'm Alan Cohn. It is hard to imagine the president bragging about the size of his nuclear button would be overshadowed by a yet unpublished book.
Tonight on ABC 7 News at 7, your Suncoast News. We're here for you.
Here are some of the top stories that we're following for you on the Suncoast today. Charlotte County Sheriff's deputies have made an arrest in a deadly Englewood home invasion last summer. Investigators have been looking for Edwin Randall since last August. That's when deputies say 2 armed men entered a home on 11th Street, demanding cell phones and trying to remove a safe from a bedroom. Plus, police in Bradenton have identified the suspect in an armed bank robbery that happened yesterday. 18-year-old Julian Jimenez allegedly entered the Florida Central Credit Union with a handgun and fired several shots. He was later booked after being found nearby by police. NFPL says they're going to hold off on billing customers for the costs of restoring electricity after Hurricane Irma. We're not going to be charged until around March in that case. Finally this hour, fans of the Jacksonville Jaguars don't just get to wear their team's colors this weekend. They can eat them too. The team is celebrating their first trip to the playoffs since 2000 by offering all kinds of crazy teal-colored food. You can drink teal beer, you can have teal burger buns, you can drink or you can eat teal ice cream. I don't know if this sounds good to have teal, but, you know, let's do it.
Draw the line at the burger buns.
We might draw the line at the burger buns. I'm good with the beer, though. We're good with that part.
Yeah, that's all right.
All right. More weather and traffic. We'll have another full hour of news straight ahead.